Hello everyone. So let's continue with the Ethics Mains 2025 paper discussion. So in the last session we had discussed the theory section. Now let's discuss the case studies. So 6 case studies UPSC asked every time it asked. So this time also it continued with the trend. So 6 case studies, but 3 case studies had an anchorage around current affairs or contemporary issues. Like they were rooted in the contemporary issues, be it the MG Narega one. Yes, in mid of July 2025, the Ministry of Rural Development released a report on MG Narega. It was in news also, and the ministry had identified 7 possible ways in practice where MG Narega funds were siphoned off, like the corruption was happening by 7 ways. And in the case studies also, UPSC has put the same 7 options, we can say that way. So, and the Ministry of Rural Development had also recommended a way out of that. So that can be your answer. Hopefully, you will mold it according to the ethical aspects which the paper demands. Second case study, which was anchored around the contemporary issues, was that border refugees are coming. There was a there is a military coup and rebellion is happening. So people are coming. So more or less, let's talk about the Bangladesh issue. So that had also had a contemporary connotation. And one more case study was anchored around current affairs. That is Roti Kapda Makan, providing them basic needs in the forests. So basically, more or less, other form of the Great Nicobar project, the issues which are revolving around that. Niti Aayog has a Great Nicobar project. Few days ago also there was a article on that. So basically, 3 case studies were profoundly anchored around the current issues. We had also a similar case studies as the 3 case studies in our test series as well, and 3 case studies were more of a traditional sense. One was about the minister civil servant relationship in the Subhash case studies, where he is pressured by his personal relation, that is his son is pressurizing, and also other ministers. So that one other was about promotion annual confidentiality report, classical case studies, and one was around the divisional commissioner. Other was around that cloud burst, and where the the administrator had to go to, there was an option whether he should go to the hometown to perform the last rites of his mother. So this way, 3 case studies had a current affair connotation, and 3 case studies were in more of a traditional sense. Okay, even if we look in the inside, the Subhash case studies was also implicitly a current affairs oriented. The ethanol issue is going on, and how the policy people are saying that it benefiting the relations of the minister. So it's now in news. So we'll consider only 3 were had a current affairs connotation. See, to score well in the case studies section, one should be able to identify all the key aspects of the case studies. That is the key players in the case studies, and that will determine what options you will be writing, what ethical dilemmas you will be writing. So in a way, you should cover the case study holistically while writing options, ethical dilemmas, and whatever option the case study wants will be the right choice to in that particular case study. This should be the approach. An introduction, not a big fan of writing stakeholders as introduction or writing unnecessary things which the case study is not asking. Already ethics paper is known to be lengthy, so why to waste time in writing unnecessary things which the UPSC has not asked. Writing stakeholders, even if it's not asked, UPSC is not going to reward you more marks for that. Okay, if you have written, well and good, but you may be compromising on time and as well as the quality and space. You have limited pages to write, why to waste? Rather write to the point. An introduction, basically an introduction ought to be a crux of the case study and what the case study is saying. So basically the introduction will help the examiner understand that you have properly derived what the case study exactly is talking about. So in a way the examiner will uh, uh, a message will go to the examiner that you have sufficiently well understood the case study. So first step at least it's done. The examiner will perceive you have understood the case study. So whatever you may be written, that may be more or less according to the demand of the case study. So that should be the intro. See, case study is more of a, if we look at the in a very naive manner, that case study is more of a written comprehension, and the crux you write as the introduction is basically what is the summary of the entire case study that you write in the introduction. So that will be a more effective way of writing introduction rather than writing things unnecessarily which have not been asked, writing stakeholders, writing values, etc. That I think it doesn't work in the UPSC. Okay, so let's discuss each case study in detail one by one. So first step should be, yes, of course you'll have to read it, but read it well and identify what are the key variables, what are the case study exactly trying to say. So let's start with the first case study. So the case study says Vijay Vijay was a deputy commissioner of a remote hilly district, okay, northeastern state, okay, of the country for the last 2 years. In the month of August, heavy rain lashed the complete state, followed by cloudburst. Okay, a disaster is happening, cloudburst in the upper reaches of the said district. The damage was very heavy in the complete state, especially the affected district. So very heavy damage, affected district. The complete road and telecommunication network were disrupted, buildings were damaged extensively. So lot of communication etc. infra has been damaged. People's houses has been destroyed. They have been forced to stay in open. More than 200 people have been killed. Yes, a lot of casualty for a small state like northeastern states. Already population density is very less. So 200 people have been killed. And about 500 have been 5,000 have been injured. Badly injured, it says. The civil administration got activated, started conducting rescue, relief, temporary shelter camps, etc. has been established, and medical facility to the homeless, injured people. Okay, they have started the rescue operation, rescue and rehab. Okay, good, timely rescue and rehab. Helicopter service abreast for evacuating old and remote areas. Okay, so this is the response. Basically, Vijay got a message from his, here is the how the case study adds a twist. Vijay got a message from his hometown in the Kerala that mother is seriously sick. Okay, mother. After 2 days, Vijay received unfortunate message that his mother has expired. Okay, personal loss here in when tragedy is happening. This is one important part for us. Vijay has no close relative except one elder sister. Okay, elder sister who is a US citizen staying there for several years. So one elder sister he has. In the meantime, situation of the affected district deteriorated further. Resumption of heavy rains after a gap of 5 days. So basically, situation deteriorated further. It says at the same time, continuous messages are coming from on his mobile from his hometown to reach the earliest performing the last rites of the mother. So basically, the crux of the case study is that Vijay is working in the northeastern state where cloudburst has happened. Lot of casualties, 200 people have died, 5,000 people are injured, and but sadly his mother who stays in Kerala has passed away. And the other further is saying that situation may deteriorate further due to resumption of heavy rains. So more tragedy in the northeastern state may happen in the coming days because heavy rains have been resumed. And further, the other thing is that he's continuously getting phone from his hometown that to perform his mother's last rites, and no relatives there, and his sister is a US citizen who's staying in the US. So let's see what the case study is saying. What are the options available with Vijay? So it's saying what are the options available, what are the ethical dilemmas being faced, critically evaluate and examine each of the options, and which option do you think the most appropriate to adopt. So case study wants you to write options. So hopefully you have understood the case study. Tragedy in Northeast, tragedy, Pusa's tragedy, no one there to perform last rites, a sister who lives in the United States, and further is that more the cloudburst or the disaster, natural disaster may exacerbate in the coming few days because heavy rain is going on. So this is the basically the crux of the case study. Okay, so from that you have to derive the options. See, I will recommend don't write those negative options first, like where the case study is testing. Like in the case, you go to the you to your home, perform the last rites. The most easiest option keep at the end. Okay, don't write first. Write first a few options which are very innovative, and that will integrate the whatever concerns are there. So introduction can be give the crux of the case study, that the case study highlights that Vijay, who is in the northeastern state, which ravaged by a cloudburst and it's a disaster. So 200 people have died. So in this case, Vijay in the dilemma whether to abide by the civil services value of devotion to duty, probity in governance, or perform the familial responsibility, that is social morality of performing the last rites of his mother. So this can be an intro. So in the intro itself, you have explained the entire case study. Okay, so one by one, then write the options. First option can be what? So write the options. Ask the elder sister to visit Kerala and perform the last rites. Yes, she is in US. US to India, flight takes around 14 to 20 hours only. So she can visit and perform the last rites. And she will also break that morality, negative social morality, that last rites should be performed by son. She's the elder sister. So that message will also go. And he can attend the last rites through online telecommunication, video call. See, this may seem absurd, but during COVID, many people lost their loved ones. So because of COVID disaster and lockdown, many people attended their funeral on online medium. Even many civil servants lost their lives while performing duty during COVID. Even other way around also, civil servants lost their loved ones during COVID, but due to devotion of duty and standing by the civil services, they attended their funeral of their loved ones through online medium. So that is one option. Now, and also she can take the help of the US Embassy. It's in Chennai, so nearest embassy for her will be Chennai. She can coordinate with the US Embassy. She's a US citizen. So that way, one option can be ask her elder sister to visit Kerala and perform the last rites of her mother, and he can attend through online. If this is not possible, then that his sister is unable to visit, then you can ask the district administration of Kerala to perform the last rites of, or ask the district administration of Kerala to make the necessary arrangement to perform the last rites of her mother, and he can attend through online medium. That is one option. District administration, if this is not there, then you adopt this option. See, okay. So the third option can be you delegate to the subordinate. Delegate the subordinate the responsibility of managing disaster, and you go home and you come back. That is one option. Option is there. So write this kind of option at the end. And the fourth option can be that you seek a transfer from the concerned chief minister or whoever is in charge to some other district. From there you can visit. So some other person who is equally competent as a district administrator or in charge of the performing these duties, that person will perform the duty. So that is one option. So seek transfer and other equally competent will come. So we'll deal with this C first. See, you can write, see this way, this time UPSC has not given the option in a chronological manner. What are the options? Then he'll ask you ethical dilemma, then it asking critically important. So you can write that way also, A, then you can write C, A and C, then you can write B, and then you can write B also. Okay, but make sure you write A, B, C, that marking you get. So critically evaluate each option. This is elder sister to visit, etc. The positive you can online, so that way you are also attending the funeral and breaking the negative social morality that only elder son should perform the last rites. So that way it's other option. But in the negative you can write she may not be able to travel, she may not get a leave or anything like, or tickets may not be available, etc. Or but most of the time tickets are available, etc. Or she had some other obligations, she may not come. So that is the negative. So that way you can write the critical evaluation examination of the option. Next, ask the district administration to perform the last rites. This will, yes, that way everything he can attend online, etc. He will also be present in the northeastern district to deal with the disaster. So that is the positive. And negative, yes, social morality, etc. may extended family relatives may get angry that you were not there, etc. Then again, social morality, family responsibility, that negative you can write. Okay, so delegate to the subordinate and you go. Okay, you delegate the subordinate. But see, a district a deputy commissioner of a remote area has a more micro view of the district, and a subordinate may be an SDM who has a macro view of a subdivision, not the entire district. We all know ecology spans across subdivisions, so a homogeneousness is of a district. So that SDM may not be competent enough to handle this disaster because he is a SDM of particular division, not the entire district. So competency may be problem, and he's saying he will come back, but it already saying that the situation is getting worsened. More rains has started to come. If he goes back and the weather deteriorates very badly, then he may not be possible to for him to come back. Then more catastrophe will happen. No leadership available at the district. Then more people may die. Already 5,000 are injured and 200 are dead. Diseases. Then also we all know when a sad thing, whenever disaster happens, harassment of women increases. Women and children safety, that who will look into? Then that is the problem. That is the negative aspect of this. Leadership escaping from responsibility, not adhering to civil services value, devotion, integrity. Integrity is what? Wholesomeness. What you say, you do. Value system, not able to stand by the value system of civil services in the pressure situation. So that is the negative side. Then seek transfer, equally competent person, but how many district collector work in the northeastern state? Very few, right? One or some there are very few districts in the northeastern state. So if that magistrate is transferred to that, but if that in the coming days that disaster also affects that district, then, and if that person may not be as competent as you are, you have been there for 2 years, you know the in and out of that district. So when a new person comes, it will take time to understand things. So that way, that is the negative of this. And also you will be escaping responsibility. Positive, yes, you will be able to perform the final rites, etc. that way. But also you may not be able to come back. I read the case study saying the weather has deteriorated further and may deteriorate even more. So that way, this is the negative you can write. This there. So what is saying then? Which of the most appropriate option? Of course, first option is the most appropriate. You justify that way. Yes, in civil services, devotion to duty is the utmost priority of any civil servant. In the pressure situation, civil services integrity is tested, character is tested, and civil services stands for virtuous character. So in this way, I will choose this option and justify this. It will also help in breaking the negative social morality of only sons performing last rites. It will also send a positive message. So conclusion I'll tell. Well, let's deal with ethical dilemma faced by Vijay. So write the ethical dilemmas. So what are the ethical dilemmas? So if ethical dilemmas were not sufficient to be answered, asked in theory question, we around case study also, many case studies has ethical dilemma. Ethical dilemma, hope you know what is ethical dilemma. Two values are at loggerheads, they are at conflicting, and positive values are loggerheads. You have to make a choice. Choice is compulsory. That will result in compromisation of one value. That is ethical dilemma. So with respect to this case, we write the ethical dilemmas. So first, can you tell some? Personal grief versus emotional stability. Okay, I'll write it down. So ethical dilemmas. You can write personal grief emotional stability. You are undergoing already a personal grief. Your mother is no more, but at the same time, you need emotional stability. Stability to show leadership, and the bigger disaster is happening there. So this is the ethical dilemma: whether to grieve, cry, because of your mother is no more, or there should be an emotional stability. That is importance of emotional intelligence in civil services. So this is one. The next ethical dilemma can be family responsibility versus devotion to duty. Yes, family, you have a family responsibility to go and visit your to perform the last rites of your mother, and at the same time you should, civil services value said, there should be an unstinting devotion to duty all the times. You should stand by the civil services values all the times, even when the, especially when the situation is very challenging. So this is one ethical dilemma. Okay, now third, now get the other players of the case study in the ethical dilemma. One option you have delegation. So delegation versus competence. We already talked about if he wants to go, then delegation, then whether he or she is competent enough to handle this. So this is one. And of course the fourth ethical dilemma, morality, social morality versus ethics. Social morality, that last rite should be performed by the son, but there is already elder sister. Elder sister can travel and perform the last rites, which is ethical also. So net, these are the ethical dilemmas, and in the conclusion you can write, you will adopt that option that way, and also it will help in ensuring integration of greatest good to greatest number of people by you will be staying there in the district to look after the people. Like Kautilya says, when there is a disaster, the king should look after his subject like his own children. So here you should look after them as your own children. Indicates greatest good for greatest number of people, but also Kantian ethics means equal to ends. You're performing your moral duty, means the ends get synchronized. How? Your sister will go perform the last rites, and you can attend through video conferencing. That way you can attend the funeral, and when the last rites are being performed. So that way it integrates the differences, and even see in this most of the people who appear for the civil services are from service background or agriculture background, middle class and lower middle class. Their parents know exactly how challenging this service is all about. They have also seen. So your mother will also be happy that you performed your duty as a civil servant and showed integrity. So that way it will also your mother's views won't have been any wrong, that you did not come to perform my last rites. So that way it will also integrate other type of social morality. So this way open up all the dimension, open up all the options and ethical dilemmas. So yes, options, the negative easy option should be written at the end. So this way you can conclude this case study. Okay. So let's move to the next case study. So in line with the DPSPs, okay, DPSPs enshrined in the Indian Constitution, the government has constitutional obligation to ensure basic needs. Okay. Roti kapda makan for the underprivileged pursuing a mandate. This mandate district administration has proposed the clearing of a portion of a forest land. So here is the key. For Roti Kapda Makan, you're clearing the forest land to develop housing for the homeless and economically weaker section of the society. So social justice, but at the cost of forest. The proposed land is, however, ecologically sensitive, populated with age-old trees, medicinal plants, vital biodiversity. Okay, very ecological sensitive. Besides these, forests help in regulating microclimate, rainfall, provide habitat for wildlife, supports soil fertility, land erosion, etc. basically, and livelihood to tribals and nomadics. So basically it provides ecosystem services as well. So further, this part of ecological and social cost, okay, the argues in favor of this said proposal, highlighting that this very initiative addresses fundamental rights, okay, as critical welfare priority, yes, right to life with dignity. Besides fulfilling government's duty, also government's duty through DPSPs empower the poor, inclusive housing. Further, these forests have become a threat to wildlife, okay, justifying this way. Lastly, clearing forest help curb antisocial elements. So basically what this case study is saying, okay, if we write it down, so we have district administration and we have forest here. So district administration driven by DPSP. So district administration, right? Okay, yes. Driven DPSP of Roti, Kapda and Makan. So provide them houses in forest land. Forests are ecological sensitive, biodiverse, medicinal plant, age-old trees. Then it further tribes has a tribals and nomadic livelihood is dependent on that. Okay, ecosystem services plus wildlife, and the district administration driven by DPSP, houses for the poor, social justice goals. Plus he's saying, the district administration is saying that wildlife animal conflict also happens, and other is saying that some law and order issues there, it houses criminals also, hideouts. Okay, so these are the problems, so that's why I wipe out the entire forest. So na baas rahega, na baasuri bachegi. So basically this is what the case study talks about. Okay, hope you have understood the case study, what is talking about. Now, now what you can write the intro. take the intro from the introduction of the case study itself, that is DPSP. So right, DPSPs act as a moral compass not only for the state to formulate its policies but also to the administration, especially when the rules regulations are not clear. They can act as a moral compass to take decision. So in this regard, the district administration have taken the decision of giving priority of human dignity and welfare over the forest. Okay, so this can be your intro. So it integrates with the ethical aspects also, that is ethics syllabus. So let's discuss each option. What question ask? So first is, can deforestation be ethically justified in pursuit of social welfare? Objectives like housing for the homeless. Yes, a trap is laid down here, and most of you must have written yes, it is not. It's not justified, but you have to think other way also. See, it can also be justified in certain cases, such as when forest area has been, some part of the forest or majority of the forest has been encroached by invasive species, and invasive species has increased the width of the forest. Forest is suppose this much, but invasive species have encroached here, so they have designated this center as a forest. Invasive species, be it grassland or trees, etc., which are threatens the native habitat, or even predators, or even some invasive animals. You must be knowing how the food chain works. If the predator is not there, then the bottom of the animals or living beings they increases exponentially, and they become a nuisance as well. Eating you can say agriculture produce and etc. So that become invasive species. So in that case, it is justified to claim back the natural ecosystem. So that way it can be justified for it can be used for socio-economic goals, or like housing for the poor and welfare. But in this case, it is not justified because you can write so much of ecosystem services has been provided. Tribals are having an intimate relation with the forest. Livelihood is dependent. It will lead to a greater problem. And yes, one DPSP is saying that roti kapda makan, but there are also other two DPSPs. One DPSP talks about clean environment and protecting the environment and safeguarding wildlife. Other DPSP talks about justice for the SCs and STs. So there are also those DPSPs. So in this case, it is not justified. Okay. So this way you address the first. Next, what is asking? What are the socio-economic, administrative, and ethical challenges in balancing? So 1, 2, 3 you have to write in context of environment conservation and human development. So in this context you have to write. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. So write 2 lines on each of these socio-economic challenges, balancing one on the side basic needs, and other side basic needs of one section of the society and the basic needs of, what about the tribals? They are having intimate relationship with the forest produce, their rights, etc. So how you will balance that? So that is one thing. So next is administrative challenges. District administration doesn't have the technical expertise of a forest. For that, there is Indian Forest Services. So coordination with them, identifying beneficiaries for this, for human development, environment conservation, also coordination at the top level, policy level between various ministries. Various ministries, tribal ministry, environment ministry, then ministries which deal with social welfare. So what about their coordination with them? So this is one aspect you can write. And ethical challenges, yes, balancing the rights of the people, right to life with dignity on one side, and environmental ethics on the other side. Right to life with dignity also incorporates right to clean environment. So how this is one some ethical challenges. So means versus ends. So means livelihood for the people will ensure greatest good for the greatest number of people. More people will be get basic dignity, roti, kapda, makan. But what about means versus ends? Tribals are used as a means to achieve the end for the welfare of the greater section of the people. It may also lead to other conflicts. Also, there is man-animal conflict already there. So it will exacerbate further man-animal conflict. Then what about the food chain, the keystone species that may also be affected if you have people there living in the forest or forest land. It may also be prone to disasters. So much of soil degradation, etc. happen. Already the case study says there is ecological services have been provided. So these are the ethical challenges. So right, what are the substantial alternatives of policy intervention can be proposed to ensure both environmental integrity and human dignity are protected? Yes. So you have to write in this context the policy. See, yes, in situ rehabilitation. In most of the metros, say it is ethical to and it is beneficial for the people who are living in slums to have an in situ rehabilitation where they live, give them a house there or nearby. Recently, the Prime Minister also inaugurated some houses for the poor in Delhi. That is in situ rehabilitation. So because see, the poor are living there. They have roti, that is, they work in the nearby buildings or nearby factories, etc. So, roti is there. Kapra also they have basic needs. Only makan is not there. If you give them makan, then this will be solved. Basic needs will be met. Also, it will give an opportunity for social mobility as well and social justice. Their children can access good schools in the city. But here, when you rehabilitate them in the forest area, where you will build schools, colleges, etc. for them. So that way also conflict won't be there between tribals and the outsiders in this case. So that will be on policy. Also, building vertical houses. So more people can be accommodated in a small area. Those are also environmentally compliant. And and if rehabilitation is not possible in situ, then for a degraded land, but make sure that dignified stay is there for them. So that way the policy intervention and also at policy level there should be coordination mechanism between the various ministries, which see this issue spans across number of ministries. So that way, and even at district level also there should be coordination mechanism that the forest department, the district administration, etc. So in a sense, though there is a DPSP, one DPSP or Roti Kapda Makan, it should be integrated with other DPSP as well. There is right to life with dignity by providing necessary basic necessities, but there is also right to clean environment. And in this, so in such a way, we can integrate environmental ethics with human dignity and welfare. So this way, you can write this case study. That's why cover all the aspects, read the case study properly, so that you have a holistic view about the case study and you don't miss out any dimension which has been mentioned in the case study. See, so much things to write. And so the right strategy should not be wasting time on writing irrelevant stuff, writing stakeholders, etc., and values, etc., which the case study is not asking. So this way you will address to the point and even writing very impactful content, which also opens up ethical dimensions, because the paper is in ethics, not in GS2, not in GS3, and of course not in GS1. Okay, so let's move towards the next case study. Okay. The case study says Subhash's minister, okay, his minister is an important minister in the state, okay, is a high ranking important minister, and significant growth in urban infrastructure development and road network has been registered during this period. So he is an important minister and also impactful minister. He is very keen on launching an ambitious project in the near future. Subhash is regularly in touch with the minister, working with various modalities. So there is continuous interaction also with the road construction projects. Regular meetings, interaction, presentations are made by him to the minister before a formal public announcement of the project is made by the minister. Okay, Subhash's only son, here comes the twist. Subhash's only son Vikas is a real estate in the real estate business. His sons from his own sources are aware that mega road project is on the annual announcement in this regard is expected anytime. He is very keen to know from his father exact location of the upcoming project. He said that there will be a quantum jump in the prices, land, when city buying land at this is cheaper, pay him risk dividend. Basically, he is trying to get information so that he can profit more. He is pleading with his father day in and out to share his location. Therefore, he would be handle matter discreetly to addict. Okay, is even giving a way out, if nothing will come out in open. Keeps land by a part of business. Okay, then another significant one more twist aspect of the matter is pertains to the extra undue interest in the above by the Minister of PWD. So another minister is pressurizing him, his nephew also having infrastructure projects. In fact, minister has also introduced his nephew to him, indicating the take care of nephew's business in the forthcoming project. The minister encouraged to act fast on the matter. Early announcement execution of mega project would enhance his status. So he's saying benefit his nephew and early announce so that execution of mega project would enhance his status in the party and public life. Subhash in a fix future course of action. So yes, a long case study. So basically the case study is, here is Subhash, it's his minister, there is continuous interaction between them, two-way interaction. Minister will announce a road project. Okay, so based on his inputs, minister will announce the road project. So, but he is pressured by his son to give details so he can profit more. And further, Subhash is pressured by the Minister of PWD he has two interests here, nephew business and other is early announcement will help in status in his party and in public. So this is what the case study is all about. So draw this diagram as an introduction. Another way of writing the case study is brief. The examiner will also be happy. And here you can write integrity, civil services values, probity put to test. This is your introduction, another way of writing. Okay. This diagram will also make the examiner clear you have understood the case study properly. A smarter way to represent bigger case study, you have to make some innovation so that you are not pressed for time. So let's answer the questions. Discuss the ethical issues involved in the case. So yes, write the ethical issues. So ethical issues. First ethical issue is that there is a conflict of interest where the son is pressurizing him for leaking the policy info so that he can profit more, but at the same time civil services are driven by integrity, anonymity, should not leak any information outside, they have to keep secrecy so that public interest is served. So that is one ethical issue. Second is write about the pressure from the nephew, the minister of PWD. On the other side, another elected representative is pressuring to get to release the information. This also puts a this also questions the this also puts a strain on the civil servants and ministerial relationship, how it should be, whether it only be public interest or public interest and political interest as well. So that is one ethical issue you can write. Third is, yes, question that probity in governance, etc. You can write. This tests the Subhash's probity in governance, whether making an early announcement will integrate public interest with the interest of other stakeholders, whether it will hamper the stakeholders, hamper the public interest, and put a larger loss to the public exchequer, benefiting few people. So that way you can write, and also you can relate with how it may put a strain on Subhash's personal life. The son is constantly pleading, but if he doesn't 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 do what he says, it may create some family issues. That are some ethical issues. So that is moral issues. So morality versus ethics. So that way you can write. These are the ethical issues. Critically examine options available in the above situation. So what are the options available to the above situation? So write the options. So don't write the negative option first, as we have discussed. First, you consult the son, counseling of son, and tell him policy info cannot be given. Second, yes, abide by civil services values and ignore the demands of the minister. This can be an option. Next option can be report to the minister, to the concerned minister. Fourth can be recuse from the position. As there seems to be a conflict of interest, you seek a transfer or move out from that decision. These are the options available. Then it also says to examine, critically examine options. So critically examine, counseling the son, telling, yes, you can tell with reason, rationality that this is against public interest. You may profit it today by making land deals here, but it will be against the civil services values by insider policy leaking. At the same time, if tomorrow audit happened of this and everything comes to the fore that this was benefiting you, so also there is social media, there is civil society, RTI, citizen charter. Today or tomorrow, these illegal things will come out of the public. It will cause not only financial losses, also reputation loss. Reputation is built, a character building happens by plucking values each and every day. So it puts a question mark on my character as well. So that way you can say it against this. Also, you should tell your son that now till the decision is making, don't buy any land in any land till the decision is made. So that even if you don't give him the policy details, but by luck or by chance he buys a land nearby the project, then tomorrow it will come out in open. Even if you did not give the policy, people say will implicitly that that he had benefited from that. So you can also tell that don't buy land from don't do any land dealings till the policy has been announced. So that way you have unrestricted devotion to duty and absolute integrity, and sticking to the civil services values when the times have been very challenging. So that way you critically we evaluate this option. At other side also that family etc. But civil services demands putting public interest before family interest. Abide by the civil service and ignore the demands of the concerned minister. Yes, that is civil service and minister relation based on political neutrality. Policy should be free and fair and should not benefit anyone. Benefit. What that minister is going to do, he will report to that minister, the concerned minister about. So if you have not done anything wrong in your life, why to be scared about it? Anything. So that way, this option you can evaluate. So negative things you can write that way. You may give false reporting to the concerned minister, who is a powerful minister in the cabinet, and that minister may that concern your boss, the political boss, must be of high integrity as well. He will not tolerate any nonsense. He has delivered also, and he is an important minister in the cabinet. Already it is saying report to the your boss, your minister, but reporting silly matters to the boss, etc. Already ministers are occupied with lot of things, and the perception may go, you don't know to take decisions, you cannot deal with stressful situation. For small things you are coming at me. So that way you can write the other aspect of this, report to the minister. So on the other side you can write the minister will take the decision, but that is more of escaping your responsibility, recusing from the position so that there is conflict of interest. But if you recuse, okay, you won't be making any decision and there won't be no conflict of interest. But if you are recused and some other person comes and who is very corrupt and he'll benefits some other people, or the people who want to benefit are benefited in a very high magnitude, then what are you going to do? So that way this is also not the right option. So yes, this is the right option you should choose, and you should reason that civil service and minister responsibility should be is civil service and minister responsibility and civil service anonymity. The minister herself has very impactful and have delivered. It's my moral duty to ensure the projects gets executed. Already infrastructure projects are very long gestation period project. They require a lot of planning and the execution goes on for years. So even if small little things, if they are not planned or executed, the entire infrastructure projects get stalled. You must have seen in our country how many infrastructure projects are stalled. Take that example of one international airport in Navi Mumbai. It's been going on since ages. Infrastructure projects are very long gestation process. So if this project gets stuck, you announce early and there is no land acquisition, the requisite EIA and SI is not taken place, and someone files a litigation and the project gets stuck, it will also reputational loss for not only you but also the minister who has been impactful and have been delivering projects. So that way you will be letting down your political boss also. So that way you should justify this choice. So in the conclusion you can write, make an impactful conclusion that the ministers are driven by public interest, political interest and personal interest, whereas civil services are driven by public interest and have to adhere by the civil services value. Whenever there is a conflict between the public interest and the political interest of the concerned political boss, the civil servant should provide an option that integrates public interest with minister's interest. But if if the minister is still insistent on pursuing political interest or self-interest at the cost of public interest, then the civil servant should put the foot down and not allow political interest and personal interest at the cost of public interest. That is what is the steel in the steel frame of the civil services. If you don't put the foot down, the steel in the steel civil services of this steel in the steel frame of the civil services will get corroded, rusted and bent, and you will be compromising with the rich legacy of civil services, which stands for Sheelam Parnam Bhushan. So that way you can conclude this case study. Okay. So let's move further. Rajesh is now sufficient senior and is expecting his promotion, okay, in the GAG, Junior Administrative Grade, in the next 1 or 2 years. He knows that the promotions is based on the examination of the annual confidential report or performance appraisal of last few years, 5 years or so, of the officer by the DPC, Departmental Promotion Committee, and an officer lacking requisite ACR may not be found fit for the promotion. Okay, ACR of the last 5 years or so are examined by the DPC for whether the officer is too fit for promotion or not. Consequences of losing promotion may entail financial, reputational loss and setback for career progression. Though he puts the best effort in his official discharge of his duties, yet is unsure what assessment by the senior officer. He is now putting extra efforts so that he gets thumping report in the financial year. Okay, so financial year he is putting very lot of efforts. An administrative officer as admin, he is regularly interacting with the immediate boss who is reporting of his ACR. One day he calls Rajesh and wants him to buy computer related stationery on priority, a particular vendor. Okay, the boss is saying buy this, procure this from a particular vendor. Rajesh instructs his office to initiate action for procuring these items. During the dealing, here is the twist. Assistant brings the estimate of 35 lakh covering stationery items from the same vendor. It is noticed as per delegated financial powers, providing the general financial rules as applicable in the organization, expenditure of the office items exceeding 35 lakh rupees requires sanction from the next account. So 35 lakh plus we need to sanctions from the next higher authority, that is his boss. Immediate superior would be accept this purchases should be done at the level and may not appreciate lack of initiative on this part. During the discussion, he learns the common practice of splitting expenditure. The large orders are divided or obtaining sanctions from the higher authority. This practice rules comes as an adverse may come adverse notice of audit. Rajesh is perturbed, he is unsure of taking decision. So basically the case study says right here. So Rajesh who is worried about his promotion, ACR will be determined by the boss and the cumulative ACR will be looked by the departmental promotion committee. So 5 years or so. Okay. So but so boss tells him buy stationery. So assistant comes to Rajesh. Assistant says the stationery is 35 lakh. For this you need approval from the boss, but there is a GP, general financial rules, that this can be broken down and you will buy stationery but audit report. If you get the boss, he is saying lack of initiative. So basically this is the case study in this case. So basically you can write the intro that the case study points out the absence of institutional integrity as there is a common practice of breaking down these expenses and doing purchases at the at that level. So this is what Plato said: good people do not need law, bad people will find a way around law. So that's why it's important to have ethics. So bad people finding way around the law. So this can be your intro. So let's discuss now what are the questions asked. Options available to Rajesh. So options, you write options. Right, negative options in the end. So first right, why don't why Rajesh should renegotiate with the particular vendor to whether he can bring the purchase invoice below 35 lakh. Yes, the assistant has got his estimate. Why don't you directly, Rajesh, directly interact with the person, with the vendor, bring this to 35 lakh less. Second, why that particular vendor only? Other vendor may give at a lesser price. So you myself you check. There is also government e-marketplace for procurement. So through this portal you can check for how much the other vendors are giving, and this you can tell your boss just that this is giving less, so we can purchase from that. That is one option. Next option, that you make the purchase and break those purchase and violate the GFRs. That is the institutional practice already there. So you are just following what has been practiced. So these are the options available to you. Okay. So what is we'll deal with the ethical case issues after this. Most appropriate option and why? See, this is the most appropriate option. You justify that why particular vendor, why if you are getting at a lesser price from other vendors, and there is also government e-marketplace for procuring, so which from the vendor who gives at the lesser price. So why, which is already been institutionalized. So use this institutional mechanism for procuring. And even it may happen that your boss is testing your integrity, whether before writing your ACR, whether you have those values of integrity and initiative. So that is also one thing. So best option will be this, and you also talk with your boss that this we have done, this is happened, not but this won't be right. And also why to worry about the ACR. ACR, the question clearly says that 5 years of ACR are taken into account by the Departmental Promotion Committee, not just 1 year. It already says that Rajesh has been working hard before it. So if you are already committed to a service, the ACR will be holistically way they will take the account of the last 5 years, not just immediate financial, that particular financial year. So this we justify that. Yes, ethical issues, lot of ethical issues are there. So first ethical issue is there is compromise on the institutional integrity. Already many instances of where it says that GFR has been compromised. So law versus ethics, there is people are finding way around the law. An audit committee is reporting that if it's come into, why it's not come into picture till now. Institutional problem of institutional integrity, the practice of bringing bigger expenses into smaller expenses. That is one ethical issue. Second ethical issue, breaking of expenses, institutional integrity. Then ethical issues, ACR, problem with ACR also is there. Already in PMO, 360-degree performance appraisal takes place. Not just ACR is not just in hand of your boss. They have to discretion of your boss. They have to take other aspects 360-degree. That is, they will talk with your subordinates also, with customers also, with your boss, etc. Your immediate boss. That way, 360-degree assessment of your performance is done. But this ACR is only directly in the hands of your immediate boss. So whether 360-degree happening or not, also it should this assessment which is done at PMO is then ability has two variables, ability to perform and integrity. So this two aspects also needs to be taken into this ACR. The other ethical issue is the boss itself is saying that you procure from that particular vendor. So this is also one ethical issue. Why not will that procurement from particular vendor serve public interest or private interest? Or even if the boss may also be testing your integrity, whether you will do for good ACR, will you perform actions in such a way that will harm public interest? So that is also been questioned here. So that is also one ethical issue. And also, yes, we talked about institutional corruption, how there is a practice. So that is an ethical issue. So, so these are the ethical issues. Already we discussed the option and for most appropriate option and why we have justified. So in the conclusion, you write the civil servant should be put public interest foremost, and otherwise it may lead to, and also this brings to light the importance of ethical values, because there is law and regulations already there, but still this corruption is happening in the form of working out the expenses, means misusing of discretion. Even you can write the saying of Kautilya that civil servant is as if whether the civil servant is corrupt or no, it's like checking where the fish is swimming in the ocean, whether it's swimming or drinking water. So it's difficult to know whether they are corrupt or no. So that's why there is importance of values. If good ethical values and character building is there, so their civil servant won't misuse the discretion for corruption. That way you can conclude then. You can easily link with the ethical aspects. Okay, let's move to the next case study. Yes, MG Narega. Already it was in news. CMG Narega, it's a welfare scheme aimed at right to work provision made in the Constitution 26. Okay, background information, Ministry of Rural Development. Main objective is legal guarantee. Okay, wage employment to the adult member who are willing to do unskilled manual work subject to maximum fees for every household. Everyone has to register on the scheme. To register, you get a job card is issued. To register, job card holder can seek employment. Okay, state government shall 25% wage for the first 30 days as compulsory daily unemployment allowances to the families of wage and of wage of remaining period for the year. So MG Narega was undertaken by various gram panchayats. So basically it talks about the entire scheme of MG Narega. You have been appointed as an administrator in charge of the district. You have been given responsibility of monitoring MG Narega work undertaken by various gram panchayats. You are also given authority for technical sanctions of all the works in monitoring and technical sanctions. In one of the panchayat in your jurisdiction, you that your predecessor has mismanaged the program in terms of the 7 things they are given. So basically, so MG Narega unemployed register, they are given job cards, then you seek employment, and the state government also gives 25% of minimum wage as unemployment allowance. So this is basically the structure of the MG Narega scheme. And your predecessor was there, and some issues happened. So these are the 7 issues it has given. So it is asking now, first is asking, what is your reaction to the above situation? So what is your reaction about situation? How do you restore the proper functioning of MG Narega program? So reaction and action is asking, reaction and what will do to restore. So what will be your action? See, one thing you should remember, reaction means a emotion response as well. When you react, some emotions will happen, some emotions you will get, and then you act. That is what is attitude, cognitive, affective and behavior. So action, reaction and action. Hope I'm clear. So reaction, right about the emotion aspect. So if you are corrupt officer, totally disgraceful for the civil services institution, then you will be happy that this corruption is institutionalized. I'll continue the corrupt practices. That can be one emotion. Of course, you should not write this, but you should, yes, reaction will be aghast by this, where the government is have has put this right to work, that is Article 21 has been formalized, and here to provide social justice of roles, but at the one side this, and at the other side where civil servants are expected to follow the civil services values, and they are depriving the people from their basic rights or social rights. So you will be aghast. So I'll be totally angry with this. So that will be your reaction and action. What to do to restore proper functioning of MD Narega? So what you will do? So first and foremost, go and analyze all these things, the various corrupt practices which has been institutionalized. Had a meeting with your all the stakeholders, your staff who are working for MG Narega, reprimand them, warn them, etc., so that the message goes down that things will not go as they were going on, and also warn them everyone who had done misappropriation will be identified and action will be taken against them. So this will throw a strong message. So that will a behavioral change you may initiate that way, that now things won't go as they were. So you have to set things in order. Then technological, yes, MG Narega mandates integration with Jan Dhan Yojana, and you have to report and feed all the data on the MG Narega portal. So whether this was done or not done, so technologically you can take this initiative to restore the institutional integrity. Take action, immediate action. If you have someone who is who have prima facie there is evidence, then you take action, put them under suspension. So that way a message will go, and then this can be streamlined. So that way you can take about the action. Talks about MG Narega program in this regard. What would you initiate to solve the various issues listed above? So take issue one by one. The answer, write one. Need not write this entire statement. So one, this issue identify. So this issue first is money not dispersed to the actual job seekers. So who are these job seekers? Who have registered job cards and this. So not been dispersed. So 25% the state government ought to give. So why it is not been dispersed? So disbursed. So you disburse it. If it's under your authority, then disburse that money. That is the solution to this. Or it's been held back for some other reason, then look into the reasons why it's been held back, whether state government has disbursed it. If not, remind the requisite functionary responsible for that working in the state secretary for the disbursal of these funds. So this is the this action. This will be this for this muster rolls of the laborers not properly maintained. The muster rolls are basically a record of the laborers who come to work. You have to maintain. The why it's not be maintained, fix accountability there. Now Ministry of Rural Development has uses NMMS, that is NMMS, National Mobile Monitoring System. There we have to take the photo of the worker who is coming to work and upload. So that way digital muster. So you you incorporate those digital practices of maintaining muster rolls. So mismatch between work done and payment made. So work done and payment made. So what can be the mismatch here? So work and payment, work done, payment not made, or work not done and payment made. So this will be the mismatch, right? Mismatch between work done and payment made. So work is done and payment not made. So you verify the work and make the payment. If work is not done and payment made, then you freeze the accounts, try to recover those payments and fix accountability, who made the payment, why it was sanctioned. This is the process. This is the structure the scheme has. Now fix accountability, whether it was here or here. So that way this you can solve this issue. Payment made to the fictitious persons. Here too, freeze the accounts. Who are this fictitious payment? Who made this payment? Recovery of the payment. How it was made? Who gave the system? Fictitious person. Now you have to register on MG Narega. So who made this register? Who is this fictitious person? Job cards were given without looking the need of the person. So need of the person, job cards here you register, then you give job card. Then here also problem lies on the portal that you digitize it. You need to warn your personnel who is doing this scam and initiate inquiry, and of course the whatever disciplinary action is there you will initiate. So you cancel these job cards. Cancel these job cards here. Mismanagement of funds, extent of siphoning of funds. Yes, siphoning of funds, recover those funds, fix accountability. For that is, we have also a topic in our ethics syllabus, misutilization of funds. A theory question had also come in this very paper. So mismanagement of funds, then you link with bank, etc. So that mismanagement of funds doesn't happen. Siphoning of funds happen. Recover those funds, fix accountability. Approved work that never existed. So who is this approval person who is approving works? Gram Panchayat is playing a role. So accountability here also should be fixed. The district collector also plays a role in approving work, videos, etc. Fix accountability. Then so you need to geotagging of work, digital aspects, technical aspects you can use. So that way, in brief, write about all these 7 issues. So you will be answering this. Now come to see what you do. What would you deal with the? How would you deal with the above situation? Now, so who are the players in this scheme? One is your own staff, the Gram Panchayat. You can take the you can leverage the technology, civil society, NGOs. So staff, train them, equip them. So this things doesn't happen. Some training, value-based training, fix accountability. Who has done all these things? They may say that our boss was telling to do, so we executed, but did you stood by the civil services values? So next is Gram Panchayat. Yes, social audit practices. You should make the beneficiaries public. There is a provision you should make all the beneficiaries public at the Gram Panchayat level. So even if a person who thinks it's not proper can read the name and report to the authorities, empower the BDOs, etc. BDOs, Gram Sevak, etc. They have a key role to play in this execution. If execution is only tasked or only in the hands of the district administration, then there will be corruption. Then you have to involve other stakeholders as well. You can also, it says, the question says that monitoring and technical aspects are there under your hand. So you can divide this to monitoring and technical. So monitoring is this technical aspect with respect to the scheme, that is identification of work. So you sanction funds only when the work has been done. So that monitoring through digital aspects, that what the Ministry of Rural Development has recommended, that photographs should be taken twice when the worker comes and when the worker leaves. But that too, there are some problems. Ministry of Rural Development is saying that people are taking passport photograph, some other person is taking photos from the passport photograph and uploading. The person himself is not. So facial recognition techniques, if possible, that can be used. Integrating with NMMS, also thumb printing, that is authentication through fingerprints, it can be done. Biometrics. So that way, technological aspects for monitoring, etc. you can do. Then also involve civil society and NGO. If there is corruption happening at Gram Panchayat level, then civil society, NGO can help in identifying proper workers, works, help in saying that which work can be done, job cards, fake job card, must roles can be elevated, integrate with digital aspects. Already there is provision that you have to, it is linked with Aadhaar, DBT, etc. Also make sure that if the DBT fails, there is some other mechanism to give the money to the poor people for the work. So that way you can write all these aspects. So this all dimensions you open up and you will be good to go. So write in this also institutionalized corruption, etc. You can write in the conclusion. That's why it brings about the importance of civil services value, character, etc. When there is a scope, when even the rights are violated with corrupt practices, virtuous character therefore is very much needed. As civil servants enjoy a lot of discretion, we have said many times, without ethics and values, this discretion will be misused. And also you can further write to the concerned minister or ex-ministry of MG Narega that this corrupt practices have happened and fix accountability of the predecessor as well, this siphoning of funds. So that way you can relate and write social auditing, etc. Gram Sabha, etc. You can also open up Gram Sabha angle. Okay, let's move to the last case study. Ashok is a divisional commissioner of one of the border districts of the northeast state. Few years back, the military has taken over the neighboring country. Okay, military coup, most likely pointing towards Bangladesh, neighboring country, after the overthrowing the elected government, civilian government. The civil war situation is prevailing in the country, especially in the last 2 years. So 2 years civil war is going on. However, internal situation further deteriorated due to rebel groups taking control of the certain populated areas near our own border. Due to the intense fight between the military and rebel groups, civilian casualties has increased manifold in the recent past. In the meantime, one night Ashok informed local police guarding the border checkpost that there are about 200 to 250 people, mainly women and children, to cross over our side of the border. There are also about 10 soldiers with their weapons and military uniform. Weapons are there, part of the group who wants to cross over. Women and children are crying, begging for help. Few of them are injured. Okay. Bleeding profusely, need immediate medical care. Ashok tried to contact the Home Secretary of the state, but failed to do so due to poor connectivity, mainly due to inclement weather. Okay. So basically, what the case study is saying. So there is a border state in the northeast. So here civil rebellion, the military coup happened. So civilian government was thrown out. So civil war is going on. So nearby border, the rebels, that is, are fighting against the military. So the rebel, it became chaotic. So 200 people, 200 to 250 people are trying to enter India or the country. Mostly women plus children plus soldiers in uniform. Some of them are women, children are bleeding and they want to enter. So this is what the case study basically says. So mainly women and children. So more than 50% are women and children. So some other people are also there. So this is what the case study is saying in the beginning. So right in the introduction, the case study points out that how the, write this in brief basically, whatever we have talked about. So what are the options available with Ashok to cope with the situation? Yes, options. So write the options. So first option, women, children, soldiers, and on top of that there is one other thing, one other subset, or that some women children are profusely bleeding. So one option can be provide, allow. So women and children who are injured because they need medical aid. Second, you allow all the women and children, and don't allow soldiers. Third, allow everyone. Fourth, don't allow anyone, just provide first aid. And fifth can be that you wait for the instructions from the Home Secretary. So these options you have. So you have covered all the case study in this option. So you have segregated the options, women, children, whatever subset can be drawn, you have drawn. So these are the options. We'll come to ethical legal dilemmas. Which of the options would be more appropriate for Ashok to adopt, and why? So see, the most appropriate option ought to be allow everyone for the time being, but make sure, see, because see, women, children are already, so you can justify who those who are bleeding, they need medical help and medical aid, so they need to be given shelter. So you can create a buffer zone so where these people can be housed. In justification of other women and children, that if they go back, the rebels may kill them. So it's to save their life. In justification of soldiers, of course, they are armed, etc., but they may also be killed there. But at the same time, ensure that there is no other you can say a trap or etc., that people are not then in the guise of women and children, people don't want to create disturbance in India as well. And also you can further justify most of the border states India have a free movement regime, that people of the border villages etc. come and go. Like with border in Myanmar, we had a free movement regime. So basically the culture is same of the bordering villages. The people are bordering there only. Then if you don't save them, then people of the Indian side of the border may get angry, the indigenous people there, that you are not saving them. Most of them are also related. So that way you should allow them all. And yes, and for the action, once we connected with the Home Secretary, then whatever action will be taken, and for the time being you allow but segregate soldiers etc. and keep the precaution. We already justified how free movement regime etc. we have, and also we have a philosophy of Vasudev Kutumbakam as well. So that way you can, this is the option and you justify that option. So let's come to the ethical dilemmas. Whatever ethical dilemmas it's asking for, what we can write about it. So ethical dilemma, first is national security versus human values. These soldiers are already armed. It may be also national security threat also, because we don't know, with the guise of, we said, the women and children, they may have to create disturbance in the nearby Indian side. So but at the same time, human values don't see border of compassion, care. They need care, ethics of care. Women and children are bleeding. So that is one thing. That way this kind of ethical dilemma is there. Second ethical dilemma can be national sovereignty versus taking initiative, allowing people from other side. That is compromising of national sovereignty, or you can say illegal migrants. But what about initiative? Civil servants also have many discretionary powers. In this, they has a discretion that allowing people. So initiative on the part of the civil servant for greater good for humanity and human dignity. So this is one ethical dilemma. Then so yes, it is also, it may have an implication for international relation Also there is a topic called ethics in IR in our syllabus. So you can connect moral idealism versus moral realism. Moral idealism, relation should be based on values. Moral 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 real idealism, relationship should be based on values. Moral realism, that self-interest should define the international relation. Ethics in IR. Also India is also an elder brother to the neighboring countries. The South Asia morality. So that is one. And one ethical dilemma also you can write. It also talks about legal. So legal versus moral or ethical. So India is not signatory to the Refugee Convention. So it's not, India is not mandated to give shelter to refugees. But India has a morality of Vasudev Kutumbakam. World is one family. So South Asia, people of South Asian countries, world is one family. That is more, India acts as a elder brother or big brother. We should act as elder brother, not a big brother. Also philosophy of Vasudev Kutumbakam. This is the ethical dilemma. This all you can write. Now D, in the present situation, what are the extra precautionary measures to be taken by the border guarding police in dealing with soldiers with uniform? Yes, border guarding police should treat them with dignity and respect. They are coming, but make sure you unarm them. You can take, you just verify whether they are not carrying any hidden explosive, etc. Treat them with dignity, because it has implication for international relation. And also there is ethics of war as well. But also you need to inform the Home Secretary about it. We have soldiers in our land, and to treat them dignity, segregate from the population, give them anything they need for a dignified stay, and whatever the Home Secretary or your superiors say, that then you follow the order when you connect with them. That is what the border guard police, they should deal with them with professionalism. The border guard, professionalism or profession of that particular organization, following professional values, the organizational values, the civil services values. But it's border guarding police, we don't know whether it's paramilitary forces or it's the Indian police services. Anyways, if it's paramilitary forces, even if they are paramilitary forces, the boss is from the IPS only. Yes, that is other debate which is going on, and cases are going on the Supreme Court whether the boss should be from the CAPF or from the IPS. Anyways, so this way you can write. See, case studies, it's very important to read the case studies properly and identify various players in the case study, so that you can form this kind of options and ethical dilemmas, and you don't miss out on any of the dimension which the case study is asking. And this way, innovative way, you can write the introduction, connect with the philosophies of ethics and whatever values, etc. are mentioned in our syllabus. Okay, then hopefully this session was helpful for you, every one of you. Okay, then happy learning.